There's something draining you right now. Not stress, not your job, not your responsibilities. Something deeper, something you can't see. Something that's been siphoning your life force while you blamed everything else. I need you to consider a possibility. What if exhaustion isn't caused by what you do, but by what's happening inside your mind without your permission? The ancient Egyptians had a word for this. They called it the scattering of Ka. Ka was their term for vital energy. The animating force that makes you alive, not just breathing. When your Ka is whole, you feel unstoppable. When your Ka is scattered, you feel empty. Even after rest, even after sleep, even after doing nothing. Today I'm going to show you where your energy is actually going, why it's leaving, and how to call it back. But first you need to understand something that changes everything. Your brain is not just a processor, it's a power plant. This isn't spiritual metaphor. This is measurable reality. Your brain accounts for roughly 2% of your body mass, yet it consumes about 20% of all the energy you produce. It generates electrical activity, waves that can be detected, frequencies that can be mapped. You are literally running a biological generator inside your skull. Now imagine that generator, running constantly, producing steady power, enough energy for you to think clearly, create freely, live fully. But instead of that power going where you need it, it's being rerouted. Invisible cables running from your generator to places you never authorized. One cable goes to a conversation from last week. You're not consciously thinking about it anymore, but somewhere in your system it's still processing, still consuming power. Another cable goes to next month, bills, uncertainties, possibilities, energy being spent on a future that doesn't exist yet. Another cable goes to that comment someone made. A small thing, already forgotten you thought, but your nervous system is still calculating the threat. Another cable goes to fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being seen as not enough, constant low-level power drain. Another cable goes to regret. Things done, things not done, the past pulling energy from the present. Dozens of cables, sometimes hundreds, all drawing from the same generator, all draining you silently, and you wonder why you're exhausted. This is what I call energy hemorrhage. It's not about how much you sleep, it's about how many invisible leaks you're running. Here's what makes this worse. You can be lying on a couch, not working, not solving problems, not moving, and still feel completely drained. Because the hemorrhage doesn't stop when your body stops. The cables stay connected. The power keeps flowing out. Your muscles are resting. Your mind is bleeding energy in 20 directions. The sages called this monkey mind. A consciousness that jumps from branch to branch, never landing, never settling, never resting. Every jump costs energy. Every new thought is another cable connecting. Every worry is another leak opening. And modern life is designed to make this worse. Think about how you wake up. Before your feet touch the floor, your hand reaches for a screen, notifications, messages, news, updates. Before you've even decided what you want to focus on, the world has already decided for you. Your energy is already being pulled in 100 directions before you've taken your first conscious breath of the day. And that's just the beginning. Watch what happens when you try to focus. You sit down to work on something important, something that actually matters. You look at the screen, you begin. Then a thought appears, something about yesterday, something unfinished. You try to return to the task. Another thought surfaces, something about tomorrow, a meeting, a deadline, a possibility. You try to focus again, but now you remember an email you need to send. 15 minutes pass, you've accomplished nothing, but you're already tired. This isn't laziness. This isn't lack of discipline. This isn't some character flaw. This is hemorrhage, energy bleeding out through channels you didn't even know existed. The Egyptian mystery schools understood this in ways we're only beginning to recover. They taught that humans exist on multiple levels. The cat was the physical body. The Ka was the vital energy. The Ba was the traveling soul. The Ak was illuminated consciousness. And they understood clearly, when Ka becomes fragmented, everything suffers. Fragmented Ka meant illness, meant weakness, meant a life where you exist but don't truly live, where you breathe but can't catch your breath, where you function but can't create, where you survive but don't flourish. The priests had specific practices dedicated entirely to gathering the Ka. Calling back the scattered energy, sealing the leaks. They considered this as essential as food or water. We forgot. We built a civilization that rewards fragmentation. We call it multitasking. We call it staying connected. We call it being productive. It's none of those things. It's hemorrhage dressed up as efficiency. Your brain was not designed to split attention. Research indicates that when you try to do two things at once, you're not actually dividing focus. You're rapidly switching between tasks, and every switch has a cost, a small bleed of energy. Multiply that by hundreds of switches per day, every day, for years. It's remarkable you're still standing. Now here's where it goes deeper. Your body is running ancient software in a world it wasn't designed for. 500,000 years ago, your ancestors lived simply. Wake with the sun, find food, return to the tribe, sleep when dark. Threats were real but rare. A predator, an enemy, a storm. When threat appeared, the body responded beautifully. Adrenaline, cortisol, heart racing, all energy diverted to survival, fight or flee. When the threat passed, the system calmed, energy restored, balance returned. That mechanism saved our species. The problem is, it hasn't updated. It still works exactly the same way. And everything changed around it. Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a predator trying to kill you and a notification on your phone. Cannot distinguish between a real survival threat and a critical comment online. Cannot separate actual danger from an alarming headline in the news. To your ancient biology, everything is threat. Everything triggers the same response. Everything drains the same energy. Except now, instead of one threat per day, you receive hundreds. Every notification is a micro-threat. Every negative headline is a micro-threat. Every urgent message is a micro-threat. Every social comparison is a micro-threat. Your survival system is in permanent emergency mode, never getting the chance to recover. It's like a fire alarm going off 100 times daily, with no actual fire. Eventually, the system can't sustain it. This isn't weakness. This is a mechanism designed for occasional emergencies, being forced into constant emergency. Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom, left teachings about this in the ancient emerald tablets. He spoke of balance between action and rest, between expansion and contraction, between spending energy and restoring it. One phrase stayed with me. He who never returns to center loses himself in his own edges. Written thousands of years ago, never more true than right now. We're living in our edges, attention always out there somewhere, on the next stimulus, the next notification, the next problem, rarely coming back to center, rarely gathering the scattered pieces, rarely reconnecting with what we actually are, and the price is constant exhaustion. So what do? If the problem is fragmentation, what's the solution? The answer lives in something the ancients mastered, and neuroscience is now confirming. It's called coherence. Your brain has two hemispheres, left and right. The left is more logical, linear, analytical, processes language, numbers, sequences. The right is more intuitive, creative, holistic, processes images, patterns, emotions, the whole picture. In most people, these hemispheres operate without coordination, each pulling in its own direction, each processing fragments, more division, more fragmentation, more hemorrhage. But when the two hemispheres synchronize, something remarkable happens. Brain waves align. Both sides begin working as one, like an orchestra finding harmony. In this state, perception shifts, creativity amplifies, intuition sharpens, ideas flow naturally, and crucially, energy expenditure drops dramatically, because you're no longer divided, you're whole. The Egyptians represented this with the eye of Horus, the complete eye, unified vision. Two aspects of consciousness operating as one. They developed specific practices to reach this state, breath patterns, sound frequencies, focused attention, all designed to induce coherence, all designed to gather the ka. Here's something that might surprise you. This state isn't mystical in the sense of unattainable, it's completely natural. You've experienced it many times. Remember a moment when you were so absorbed in something that time seemed to vanish. Maybe doing something you love, maybe in deep conversation, maybe creating something, maybe in nature. In that moment, you weren't tired. You were energized, not because the activity was easy, because you were whole in it. No hemorrhage, no fragmentation, no division. All your car focused on a single point. This is what psychologists call flow, what the Egyptians called harmony with Ma'at, the cosmic order. It's available to anyone. The problem is we exit this state and don't know how to return. Or worse, we build lives that make return impossible. Lives filled with interruptions, filled with distractions, filled with constant leaks. Let me tell you something from my own experience. Years ago I had a project that mattered deeply to me, something I knew needed to exist. I talked about it constantly, planned it, dreamed about it, promised I'd create it. A year passed, then two. The project remained just an idea. I had the knowledge to do it, had the desire, had the passion, but couldn't. My energy was so fragmented that I couldn't gather enough force to begin. Every time I tried, something pulled me away. A worry, a distraction, a false urgency. One day I looked honestly at my life. I saw hundreds of invisible cables connected to my generator, each one draining a little power, each one preventing me from gathering enough to create. I made a decision that felt extreme. For 2 weeks I isolated completely, turned off the phone, cancelled everything, cut every source of distraction and leak. At first it was uncomfortable. The mind was agitated, wanting to check things, to connect, to scatter. It's almost like withdrawal. We're so addicted to fragmentation that focus feels foreign. But after a few days something shifted. The agitation settled. The mind quieted. Energy began to gather, like drops of mercury joining into a single sphere. And when that energy concentrated, flow appeared. Words came. Ideas connected. Work poured out like water from a tap that had been blocked. It wasn't that I'd become smarter. The knowledge was already there. The capacity already existed. What changed was, I stopped bleeding out the energy required to access it. In 15 days, I created what I couldn't create in 2 years. Not by working more hours, by working with gathered energy. Thoth taught, still water reflects the sky clearly. Troubled water reflects only confusion. While your mind is churning, you can only see distorted fragments of reality, of yourself, of what's possible. The moment it settles, the reflection clears, and you see what was always there. Your potential isn't blocked by lack of ability, it's blocked by excess dispersion. Now I need to address something fundamental. You are not your thoughts. This sounds simple. You may have heard it before, but most people haven't truly understood it. Let me explain what this means practically. Right now, as you hear these words, something is observing. A consciousness is receiving this, processing, evaluating, connecting. That consciousness is you. The thoughts that pass through your mind are not you. They're like clouds moving through sky. The sky isn't the clouds, the sky is the space where clouds pass. You are the space, not the content moving through it. This changes everything about how you relate to the hemorrhage. If you are your thoughts, then every worry is your worry. Every anxiety is your anxiety. Every fear is your fear, and you have no choice but to feed them energy. But if you are the observer of thoughts, you have choice. You can watch a thought arise and decide, do I feed this or not? You can feel an emotion surface and choose, do I fuel this or let it pass? This isn't suppression. I'm not talking about ignoring or pushing away. I'm talking about not identifying. Seeing the thought as thought. Seeing the emotion as emotion, without merging with them. Initiates in the mystery school spent years practicing exactly this, the art of separating observer from observed, witness from witnessed, sky from clouds. Because when you master this, you regain control of your generator. Cables only connect when you identify, when you believe that thought is you, when you merge with that emotion. The moment you observe without identifying, the cable disconnects. The leak stops. Energy remains. It's simple, but not easy. It requires practice, consistency. Hermes taught, he who mistakes himself for his shadows becomes slave to them. He who observes his shadows becomes master of himself. Are you enslaved by your thoughts, or master of them? The answer determines how much energy you have available. Now, I want to show you something practical, a tool you can use immediately. I call it the awareness protocol. 3 days. No effort required, no complexity, just conscious observation. Here's how it works. For the next 3 days, every time you notice your energy dropping, stop. Don't try to fix anything. Don't try to change anything. Just ask, what just drained my car? Was it a thought, an interaction, something you consumed, a memory that surfaced, a worry about the future? Just identify. If you can, note it down. Don't judge. Don't criticize yourself. Observation is enough, because awareness is the first step of transformation. You cannot change what you cannot see. You cannot seal a leak you don't know exists. Alchemists taught that lead contains gold. But first you must recognize the lead. Your exhaustion contains your liberation. But first you must see where the drain is. Here's something powerful. Simple observation already begins changing the pattern. When you bring consciousness to something, that something loses power over you. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Shadows don't need to be fought. They simply disappear in the presence of light. 3 days, just observe. Change begins on its own. After 3 days, you'll have a map of your primary leaks, a map of where your energy goes without permission. With that map, you can start making choices, consciously, deliberately. You don't need to change everything at once. One cable at a time, one choice at a time. The ancients didn't seek instant perfection. They sought constant refinement. The journey of gathering Ka is lifelong. But every step brings more energy. Every sealed leak brings more clarity. Don't wait until you're fully restored to live. Start living more whole today, even if just slightly more whole than yesterday. Thoth left clear instructions for the initiated. Watch the flow of your vital force. See where it goes without your consent. And gradually, call it back to center. This is the great work, not done in a day, but in all days. Before we finish, I want you to understand something essential. The difference between those who live exhausted and those who seem to have infinite energy is not genetic, not luck, not privilege. It's simply how they relate to their energy. Most people sit at the edge of the ocean, passively waiting for waves to crash. When the wave comes, it hits. They react. This happened to me. That affected me. This situation drained me. Always victim to circumstance. Always responding to what already occurred. Always spending energy recovering from impact. Those with gathered energy operate differently. They don't wait for the wave to crash, they ride it. Connected to the flow before it manifests. Perceiving patterns before they become problems. Acting before being forced to react. This isn't supernatural power. It's simply what happens when you stop fragmenting and start directing your energy like a focused beam. Hermes taught, as within, so without. As above, so below. Thus, when you organize your interior, your exterior begins reorganizing in response. This isn't magical thinking, it's principle. External reality reflects internal reality. Always has, always will. Your tiredness isn't caused by the world out there. It's caused by the fragmentation in here. When you gather what's scattered, the world out there seems to change. But what changed was you. I know this might feel like a lot. Like there's too much to do. Too much to change. Too much to learn. But it isn't. Everything comes down to one thing. Stop scattering. Start gathering every day a little more. No complicated practices needed. No spiritual retreats. No gurus or masters. Just awareness. Just choice. Just consistency. Watch where your energy goes. Choose where you want it to go. Repeat. Every day. Fragmentation took years to install. Gathering won't happen overnight. But every day you practice, you reclaim a little more of yourself. And there comes a moment when you look back and realize you've become a different person. Not because you gained something new, because you recovered what was always yours. Gathered Ka isn't a state to achieve. It's your natural condition. Fragmentation is what's artificial, imposed, conditioned, programmed. You're not trying to become something you're not. You're returning to what you always were. This is what the ancients called awakening, not gaining something new. Remembering what you forgot. And when you remember, exhaustion leaves. Not because circumstances changed, because you stopped emptying yourself into them. Gathered Ka creates. Scattered Ka merely survives. You weren't born to survive. You were born to create, to flourish, to live fully, and it all begins with one choice. The choice to stop scattering, the choice to gather what's yours. Call your car home. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions are perfect. Now. Start with observation. 3 days. Just noticing the leaks. Then choice. One cable disconnected at a time, then consistency. Every day a little more whole. The journey is yours. No one can walk it for you, but you can walk it. And when your energy returns to center, your life returns to you. I'll see you on the other side. If something here resonated, if some part of you recognized this truth, leave 4 words in the comments. Just that. I gather my car, not for me, for you, as a seal, as a declaration, as the first step. 3 days. Observe, write it down. Your energy is waiting to come home.